You know, I just noticed there's a new DC logo for DC Studios. How did I not know that?
No matter
Peacemaker
how far away
Season
we are from each
2.
other,
Oh, okay.
no one will ever break us apart.
Except maybe Rick Flag Sr. So that was a quick look at Peacemaker Season 2. It's confirmed by James Gunn. I'm sure you've already heard of that. I just heard of it. That it's going to come after the Superman movie. And this takes place after the events of the first Superman movie. So Peacemaker Season 1. I think I have a review online. I don't remember. Going into that series, at first, I didn't quite like it. I thought it was silly. I didn't like the raunchy jokes, and I didn't like the overly long banter sometimes that they have. But as I kept watching, continue watching it, I started to appreciate the character and the facade he puts over himself to mask him from his own tragedies when growing up with his father and, his brother, and how that affected him mentally. And they also even get to where he has a problem with him killing Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad. Not the first Suicide, but the Suicide Squad. The second Suicide Squad movie. I like the whole alien invasions type of story. I liked how it played out. Amongst other things in that series, and even the dance in the beginning kind of makes sense when you think of it from his perspective, his messed up mind. I gotta admit, a lot of times I don't like the overly long banters. I don't like the poop jokes and raunchy stuff that happens in there. But the overall story, the serious tones in that series, I do appreciate. So season 2 is coming, and that's one of the biggest questions of season 2. There's a season 2. I thought we rebooted. This is not the same universe, isn't it? Why are we doing this? Are we still continuing from the first Peacemaker? And then when you delve a little bit deeper, are we talking about the Suicide Squad as well? Is Margot Robbie still Harley Quinn? No clear answer to that, I think. I could be wrong. You let me know. And then there's other things where the Justice League showed up in Peacemaker Season 1 at the end as well. Ezra Miller as the Flash and Jason Momoa as Aquaman, right? But James Gunn did say a few months ago, I think, that, in fact, that Peacemaker Season 1 is not canon. Not canon! Some stuff from Season 1 happened, but things like the Justice League showing up did not happen, or at least that Justice League. Things like that. What are they going to keep? So, unclear at this point. But it is going to come after the Superman movie, so definitely we'll probably have things that happened in Superman that will be referenced and talked about in Peacemaker Season 2. But the interesting part is the addition of Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. That quote in that teaser where that nothing will keep them apart. With him, with Rick Flag Sr., walking towards the camera. Already in my mind, at least for me, I'm already thinking back to Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Sr.'s son, right? So, is this a revenge story now? Are we meant to see it and meant to experience this teaser as knowing full well what happened in the Suicide Squad, the effects of what happened in the Suicide Squad, whether or not some characters are going to return or not, is just that the basic story, the basic events that happened, including the death of Rick Flag, is that going to be brought into this, and Rick Flag Sr. is going out of his way for vengeance. We also know that Frank Grillo is in Superman as Rick Flag Sr. as well. So we'll see how that plays out in that movie, continuing on into Peacemaker Season 2. And speaking of the Justice League, I know James Gunn's bosses at that time didn't want him to include every single Justice League member, in terms of Henry Cavill, the whole Ray Fisher thing, Ben Affleck. There was a lot of hurdles, and not everybody made it in. And he had to answer to the higher ups on who to include, when can I include them, contracts and stuff like that. Well, now that James Gunn is the head of this thing, do you think maybe if he wanted to add a certain Justice League member that there is no pushback, absolutely no pushback, he could just call him up and says, hey, be on this episode, hey, pop up here, hey, have Superman fly down from here. If he chooses, he can make that happen on his own terms without having to answer to any Warner Brothers exec. So I think that is an interesting idea, thing that could be good for season 2 if maybe we'll able to get to see other characters, or even the Authority or Green Lantern. The Lanterns may show up, who knows, right? I think because he's in charge of this whole thing, that makes it easier for him to throw in these cameos here and there. But I am intrigued by the concept of how it continues, what continues from the Suicide Squad to Peacemaker Season 1 to Peacemaker Season 2. How is James Gunn gonna connect through that, if at all? Or we're just meant to assume that this is Peacemaker, this is my team. You may have seen how they formed together, but it's not exactly happened that way, but it did. Yeah. I don't know. But if it's entertaining, I think it wouldn't matter, right? As long as it's entertaining, and we'll definitely see how that turns out for Peacemaker Season 2.